Hello, and welcome to the workshop for Rev Up Your Resume. I'm your host today. My name is Robert Walls. I work for the Pennsylvania CareerLink Bedford County as a career planner. And today's workshop is to cover about writing up resumes to submit along with job applications. And we're going to cover a variety of useful tips and hints and tricks that will help you with preparing for getting into the position of being a candidate considered for hire by the employer. So as we have displayed here, rev up your resume for a first place finish. So what exactly is a resume? A resume is a tool basically, and it's used for getting a job interview. And since the employer's not likely had any kind of contact with you yet, a resume functions as an advertisement that highlights your abilities, accomplishments, skills, and what you have to offer for that employer that you're applying for. And often it's a document that's used to create the first impression, again, since an employer's likely not met you yet. So a resume does have an impact on making that first impression on who you are to that employer. So you have to ask yourself if the resume is designed for success. So a lot of things that play key with this first impression is the resume's visual appearance. Does it use a good layout and font? Typically something that's going to be easy to read, isn't too unprofessional, or something that's not giving a good impression as far as being serious about wanting that job. And when it comes to fonts and sizes, something that's easy to read as far as the size of the text and something that fits within the page. Something that's also kept uniform and consistent, a good balance of white space and no punctuation, spelling errors, grammatical errors, nothing that will come across as having any mistakes on it. And it focuses on employers' needs. So as mentioned, it's going to cover skills that will very likely highlight and advertise what you have that the employer is looking for specifically, so that you'll be more likely to be selected for an interview. Showing the skills and technology that's also needed for that position, showing and demonstrating results, and also having your most recent current up-to-date contact information so the employer knows how to reach you. So even small improvements that are done to a resume can make a difference, as shown between the two comparisons here. The one on the left, while it does communicate some basic information on what an employer might need to know about you, it doesn't really do the best as far as explaining what you did just beyond your job description, other than very briefly covering some things. So for example, with the cutter job at Cope Shoe, it only illustrates that you cut leather, which granted, that does explain what your role is there, but it's not really doing a lot to actually explain more specifically what you did and things that you had done specifically while you were doing your job. Meanwhile, on the right, the resume goes more in depth by covering, in addition to the job duties, it also covers examples of specifics on what happened while you were working there and what the results of your work have met. So as mentioned about the cutter job, one of the things that can be noted is one of the highlighted descriptions of the job itself is consistently met production quotas. So that's an example of an illustration where your job and the job duties that you had done something more than just doing your job from a day-to-day basis. So there are typically 3 different styles of resumes that are selected by most people who create a resume. A lot of people may not necessarily have Microsoft Word to actually write a resume in, but you can use Google Docs for free, or other products like OpenOffice, which are free online as well, if the person does not have Microsoft Word. All of the programs, though, have a lot of the same features that enable you to be able to create your resume. And as mentioned, there are 3 different styles of resumes. There's chronological, which lists the jobs in reverse order, the most recent job first. Typically, that is something that is used by most job seekers if they're illustrating where they've worked at chronologically, and it shows maybe the same kind of jobs that they've been doing. And then there's a functional resume, or also known as a skills-based resume, which this kind of resume focuses on skills. However, a lot of websites don't typically like this particular format, as it doesn't always answer everything they're looking for as far as where you were employed at. And also websites that have the online applications may not necessarily accommodate that particular kind of style of resume. And then there's also combination resume, which of the 3, this is the most commonly used by many job seekers. And it highlights the skills followed by the jobs listed in reverse order. So it takes a little bit of chronological and functional to put them together. And a lot of resumes generally have the same flow of order as far as what information is presented on them, starting with the heading. As mentioned, it's important to have your current contact information up to date put on the resume, which includes your name, address, phone number, or if you have more than one phone number, you can list more than one, as well as an email address. Given that a lot of applications are done online today and a lot of employers communicate via online, it's important to include an email address when possible. And here are some examples of appropriate resume headings that can be featured on a resume. Not any specific format. Maybe there is a design that matches the rest of your resume that goes in a specific kind of font or visual order. But all of these are good ways of showing when someone is listing their contact information in the header section of a resume. And when it comes to physical addresses, you don't always necessarily have to have the physical address listed as far as the actual house number and street name. But it has been a formality over years to list a full address on a resume nonetheless. So not usually a uniform way of knowing whether or not to include it, but the norm is that most resumes do typically show the full address. And moving on, resume section titles with either an objective statement or a summary of qualifications. Either one of these are both good for using on a resume to indicate what exactly you're looking for and why you applied. So an objective is a specific statement that focuses on the position and what you will bring to that job. And here's a few good examples of how you could start with an objective statement. So seeking part-time clerical position assisting management with bookkeeping, filing, and typing. And then two more examples of where you could fill in the blanks to have something used appropriately to answer the question for the employer on what position it is you're seeking within their organization. And the alternative to using an objective statement would be to use a summary of qualifications or key skills or a professional profile. This is similar to an objective, however, it is a short, concise use of statements that demonstrates the most important qualities, abilities, and achievements that you have to offer. And prioritized statements are best communicated by starting with the most relevant or what's most appropriate on what job you're applying for. Typically, after those sections are done, whether you use objectives or summary of qualifications, next comes listing the work experience. So listing your most current or most recent employers first and working backwards from there. Important to include the job title, the company name, city and state, and then the dates of employment. When it comes to the dates of employment, it is very key that you have at least the years of employment that you were there. And it's more and more common of seeing resumes where they also include the month along with the year as well, to be more specific on when you were employed with that particular company. And then typically it's also common to list job duties and also have some focus on not just the job duties themselves, but the accomplishments or something that shows your value to the employer that you're applying for now, so that it shows that you have successful and positive results because of your accomplishments. And when it comes to listing those job duties, you can use bullet phrases, starting with verbs and action words, and making sure that everything is written in the correct tense. If it's a job where you're not currently working there, you will want to make sure that they are written in the past tense. But if it's a job where you are currently still employed with today, you can write that in the present tense. And then wording, conveying actions and demonstrating results, which is something that I've been emphasizing throughout this presentation so far. So an example of what you can do to make that play in your favor is taking this example of the statement right here: was responsible for redesigning Girl Scout fundraising plan to benefit troop activities. While it does indicate a particular action that was being done, it's still not really doing the best that it could, whereas something else, such as one of these two particular examples, might get your foot in the door better, as it shows more positive results of what your accomplishments were by doing that. So developed an innovative fundraising campaign resulting in 32% increase in sales of Girl Scout cookies, or played key role in establishing innovative fundraising campaign resulting in Girl Scout troop consistently exceeding sales goals, are both examples of ways that you can communicate a more positive outcome of what you had done while you were employed with that company or doing a particular action. And then also comes the education section, which typically starts with beginning with the highest level of education and including the name and location of the institution, credentials that you had earned there, as well as the date that you completed. So for example, the situation listed here starts with Greater Altoona Career and Technology Center based in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And the diploma achieved was a associate's degree for medical assistant, graduated in the year 2010. And then from there, working backwards, you would list your high school, since that is the secondary education that came beforehand. So Bedford Area High School, Bedford, Pennsylvania, for a high school diploma, graduated in 1998. In situations where if education is still ongoing and not completed, you can list the expected graduation date. So for example, still attending Pennsylvania State University in Altoona, Pennsylvania, indicating your major is Bachelor of Arts in History, and then expected graduation could perhaps be May 2012. And it's also important to note that depending on who you're applying for, as far as employers go, you can place the education section before the work experience if you're a recent graduate, or if your education that you're currently attending is something that's more relevant to your future job that you're hoping to land. So when it comes to preparing to write the resume itself, keeping the order of everything that was already covered so far in mind, you also want to gather information about the employers, including their names and dates of employment and when you were working there, listing all the skills that you gained from that work experience, anything that's transferable, any personality traits, or things that are specific keys as far as catching the employer's attention on the new position you're applying for now. And also using the job description or ad of the employer you're currently applying for to identify those specific employer needs on the place you're applying in. Accessing resume writing handbooks, or coming to the Pennsylvania CareerLink to maybe get information on how to write resumes, or looking online for styles, formats, and wording ideas. And also using the Pennsylvania CareerLink's website to use the resume builder to also help you with preparing a template. And keywords are also important too, as far as things that you want to select to include with the language on what you're writing on the resume, so that hiring managers are seeing that you have what they're looking for when they go through multiple resumes that they have to go through on the database as far as what they receive from candidates. There are a lot of employers that use a program that's known as talent management software, which is used to screen that first before they actually take some time aside to put together the resumes they're going to read through and select who they would like to consider for inviting to an interview. And it's commonly known that a lot of employers typically only spend about 10 to 20 seconds to look through a resume. So you want to make sure that the resume you're writing is something that is not going to be overwhelmingly wordy or something that has no relevance at all to them. And you want to make sure that you catch their attention early enough so that they're engaged to want to learn more about you and be more likely to contact you for an interview. So what you have on paper is going to make a big impact on whether or not they contact you. And as far as the actual length of resume, which I haven't covered yet, but you can do more than one page of a resume, but it's important to keep in mind that if you do go past one page into a second page, keep in mind that at least half of the second page should be used so that it indicates enough relevance to merit that length. But also keep in mind that since employers only spend so much time looking at a resume, it might be more valuable for you to be short and sweet on what it is you're trying to communicate to them, while also trying not to overwhelm everything that you had done at each of your jobs that you've worked before. And don't forget, looking at the job description, including past employers where you worked at, if you're not sure what to do with brainstorming on the language and wording used to put on your resume. Social media is another platform that's used for advertising for jobs. Facebook and LinkedIn are both two platforms where some companies do advertise work. And then also on the flip side, keep in mind that it's important that if you do use Facebook or LinkedIn or both, to also make sure you don't have anything inappropriate on there, because a lot of employers do typically like to learn more about the person, put a face to the name that they're considering when they're reading the resume. So if there's anything inappropriate linked to your name, that's not going to make a very good impression, and they might not be willing to contact you if there is something along those lines that is present on the internet. And in some situations, it is also important to include a cover letter, which may be requested by the employer depending on the company that you're applying for. Typically, there is a format on that you will want to write a cover letter that includes 3 paragraphs. And very briefly, just going to cover for those 3 paragraphs, this is what you want to do to include on that information so that they can also have a better understanding on why you're applying. So the first paragraph should cover why you're writing, name the position you're applying for, how you heard about the opening, and if it was a specific employee who did refer you to apply there, it is perfectly fine to name that person. In the middle paragraph, that is where you're going to talk further about your qualifications, how you can meet the employer's needs, being very specific, giving examples of things that you have that you can offer them. And in the final paragraph, request for an interview and say that you'll follow up at a specific time. Thank them for taking the consideration to read your application, your resume, and your cover letter, and also by listing the best way that they can reach you to schedule an interview. With everything in mind, if you use all of that while preparing your resume and cover letter, that should help you with crossing the finish line, the invitation to landing that job interview, and working on your steps towards success. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this webinar workshop. Hope this was very valuable to you. And if you ever have any questions or concerns, you can contact your nearest CareerLink for any further assistance. Thank you again. Have a great day.